Hi guys, and welcome to October, and yay, we are in Libra transit. So happy birthday to all Libras, and let's see what's going on. So really quick intro about astrological constellations and everything that we need to kind of like work on. Guys, do not forget to check your ascendant and check your moon sign, because that's sort of like going to give you different aspects of yourself. And of course, if this jives with you, you can contact me for the private reading. So let's see what is the biggie happening in the sky. And my astrology is really different. You know, nobody's going to tell me this is the way you need to do, because to me tarot is like so much more potent than astrology. So let's kind of like move into that. This week, both Mercury and in tarot, we have the Magician representing Mercury, so you can actually see the energy instead of just me telling you about Mercury. It's going to move into Scorpio, and that fiery Mars is actually moving in Libra. So Mercury is really, as you know, during Mercury retrograde, communication issues. So yes, it kind of like symbolizes how we talk and think, and how do we really exchange things, how do we communicate, right, with each other, with ourselves, kind of like pulling things together. It kind of like really talks about what we do daily, talks about short trips, and also kind of like trade and commerce and exchanges like of that kind of like sort. Meanwhile, Mars, which actually it's not ruled by Emperor. Oops, wrong, because Aries is kind of like ruler of Mars, but Mars really, and this is going to be hell of a reveal when I tell you. For those of you who know, you already know which card I'm going to pull. This actually is Mars card, Tower. And so Mars is basically all about energy. So when it kind of like occurs in our charts, it's kind of like boosting the activity of this area. So let's put it in perspective, because Mars is now showing up during Libra transition, and this is Libra card. In the background, we just have Saturn that went direct, and so now, if you're on my newsletter, you knew that we actually shifted to new timelines. It was like few things simultaneously happening, and if you felt last month being kind of heavy and you didn't know what's going on, and you felt like you're climbing the walls and you're just like falling flat down, there was a reason for it. Please sign for my newsletter so you will be in the know. So when we kind of like have the Mars coming through, it's kind of like boosting the chart in our in that area, right? Activity of that area. So we are going to start feeling shift in our daily habits and conversations, and we will become more active in kind of like that area where sort of like that Mars joins the sun, wherever your sun is, and just kind of like, you need to remember the secret of life is really having low expectations. With Saturn kind of like that went direct, there are like no procrastination anymore. I think summer was, most of us had the excuse it was the summer, of course, for those of us in northern hemisphere, but in the southern hemisphere, winter was excuse. It's winter, I don't feel like it's sluggish. So we both kind of had the same excuse. But this kind of like all ended on September 18th at 13 degrees Capricorn. And this Saturn is the Lord of Karma, and it kind of like does feel, Capricorn is his ruler, but it's almost like the middle finger, right, when it is reversed, right? So retrograde motion is basically time when karma is sorted out, because this is the planet of karma. And so therefore Saturn retrograde is a double dose of that karma. So if you guys didn't get karma reading with me, it's very intense. It really tells you, hey, this is what you did in past life, this is what you promised to yourself. With all the wisdom, you're going to kind of like drag in this one, you want to resolve it, you know, like when we can, today I'm going to really kind of like handle this. That's kind of like, it's the entire life chart. So when and what was happening, it kind of like felt that past and present and future kind of like blurred together. And if you have been in the past and kind of like dealing with that, you know, events occurred to teach us a lesson. And Saturn is generally difficult ruler. It's kind of like, did you learn it? I really need you to know. And when I ask you this question, when I wake you up from a dream, you will get it. Not only that you're going to tell me blah, blah, blah. So the lessons that have been associated with Saturn retrograde kind of like really relate to our thoughts and our words. Some of us decided, hey, I'm going to communicate better. I'm not going to be quick to curse. And you're going to see that people will be cleaning their language. People who didn't clean the language, who continues to kind of like be mean and jump quickly to conclusions and to judgments, these people stayed on different old timelines. So what does that mean? That means you still have issues, you didn't resolve them. The bad part is going to last 12 years. So ask yourself if you really shifted or you didn't shift it, or you're just simply repeating the old patterns from the past. This in particular is going to be especially challenging if you have history of teasing or verbally abusing people. And this is becoming very prevalent. All of us kind of a little bit guilty of that. Internet is like a sneaky place where you just want to, you dislike my nail polish. You dislike something. I'm going to just tell you. We need to kind of pull back with Saturn, because Saturn is telling us, really, is this really who you are? And now turning direct is giving us a much brighter outlook, especially for making really important decisions about your home, your family, and relationships. So ta-da, everything is here. And when we are going through Libra transit, it's really talking about a major transformation. So this is where we are almost like, think about it, we have building our case, we kind of like made advances, we kind of like are understanding the areas of life which you kind of like need to do it. The Tower is saying, okay, this is collapsing, and we need to collapse certain areas of our lives and say rebuild, rebuild, rebuild. But then, Mercury is saying to us, you can do it. You have all the tools. You have been through all the lessons. You just need to pull it together, and you need to detangle anything that has been going on. Look at how powerful this month will be. So let's just jump in and see what is particularly important for your own sign. Hello Aquarians, and welcome to October. October is here, and so we are going to have completely different energies. The sun is going through Libra. This is our ninth house. Ninth house is talking about expansion and travel and adventure. And it's going to last all the way until October 23rd, right? And this is going to be good for us. It's going to be a month when you kind of like feel everything is possible. And like the Saturn finally leaving, and Saturn is partially ruling our sign. It kind of felt at times, oh my goodness, how do I get ahead, right? But all of a sudden, energy is going to feel different. It's almost going to be a star map, right? And it's almost star map on steroids, right? Because we have this like energizing Mars, which is kind of like going through that kind of like Libra from October, I think October 4th to November 19th. So Mars, okay, we'll put this in the middle. Mars is, as they call it, red planet, right? I always think about this Schwarzenegger movie over here, right? And it kind of like arrives to kind of like really ramp up excitement, to kind of like, I'm excited, excited, and excited. Like, it's not enough to just say once kind of a thing, right? So I also think that some of you kind of like felt, oh my gosh, it is time to think about holidays, or it is time to travel. It's time to go elsewhere. Even if this means going to a neighboring city and driving and kind of like exploring, right? It almost looks like something will happen, whether or not 2 months, 2 days, 2 months will be awesome, if not really longer, right? So I really think this month will be really ideal, basically, right? It's going to be anything but kind of like business as usual kind of a thing, because kind of we maybe felt under the influence of Saturn retrograde that it was really, really hard. This is also going to be very entrepreneurial month. So some of us might be launching kind of like an indie business, or it's going to feel like I need to kind of like learn more, and you will sign up for a workshop or class. Hey, Tarot School, it's open on Cat Tarot, contact me. Or you might just simply expand your mind by exploring new metaphysical ideas. Maybe some of you will be viewing this reading and it's not going to be, Cat is explaining so-and-so card. It's going to be, oh my God, that card is really talking to me. This really card is explaining my situation, what I'm going through. I kind of like getting. It's kind of going to be about shifting your perspective, and it's going to feel all right. It's going to feel that, like almost like it's the fear that we feel that we hid under the rock. And because we hid under the rock, we kind of like are just lifting it up and saying, oh, can I come out? Can I come out? I'm kind of like really afraid of coming out, right? So even though Mars is there, it's kind of like it's what's called in a detriment position, which means very weak, because in Libra and Mars is Aries, it's kind of like opposing. So it's not exactly comfy. So we will, as a result, need to kind of pace ourselves a bit. We will also have two very difficult points. It's going to be October 7th and October 27th. Circle it on your calendar, right? Where Saturn is really harsh. So if you didn't like this energy that we had in September, it's coming back. October 7th plus minus 3 days, and October 27th. It's kind of very rigid kind of a thing. You do what I tell you. And we know how this really works on us, right? We really like that. But Saturn was in Capricorn, which was in our 12th house of hidden agendas, meaning that we had lots of oppositions, and the still energy could kind of like exist there. That opposition may come to us from a very unlikely sources, or that we have an enemy. We didn't even know it's an enemy. Could be one of those people who are, pretending to be our friends because we are friendly sign, but then you find out, so-and-so said so? Are you really kidding me? So instead of shooting them down, which is going to be the very first thing we'll want to do, take a deep breath and refuse to deal with that from that standpoint. Because if you guys are on my newsletter, you actually realize that we are now into this new karmic cycle, which is technically starting October 3rd, even though it was like that launching pad already happening. So it's this also karmic Pluto, which also is in Capricorn, that kind of like wakes up from its 5-month retrograde. Oh, ta-da! And it's almost like, hey, you are waking up, you're poking a bear out of hibernation, and you really don't know if that bear was like really dreaming something really nice and it's going to be very grumpy that because you're doing this, or it's going to be just groggy enough to be completely harmless, right? It was like something that has been brewing since April 24th. And so Pluto has been back and forth from through our 12th house. And 12th house is about healing, and 12th house is about closure. So I think for some of us, maybe we plunged into some depths. Maybe we got really tangled up emotionally, and I'm seeing that here. It is like also Saturn, that karmic energy. It could have been linked to somebody else in the past as well. I also think it's going to be that maybe we experienced some emotions that we haven't been comfortable with, or we really didn't want to deal with that, and maybe we have been dealing with that. We wanted to help somebody and we couldn't do anything, and it was like almost like not movable. We're climbing the wall, and each and every time we kind of like splash down. So at this stage we might need to understand that we have been forcing things. Maybe we have been swimming upstream, right? So this is a time to stop pushing an agenda and sort of like practice like this Zen, that radical acceptance, right, kind of a thing. The best we really can do, because right now we are going to actually start benefiting from these lessons of why we have been held down and where we're not able to move forward. Because I really think it was that we need to allow others to support us and allow things to unfold in their own time. Yeah, we are kind of like 50 years ahead of everybody else. We are the ones screaming, oh my gosh, global change is happening. We are going to have massive extinction happening. And we are screaming, and everybody's thinking we are Looney Tunes. We need to understand that we have to kind of like follow the pace, and this is what Saturn is really telling us, right? So look at this. We have Ace of Sky, so Ace of Swords. We have the Priest, the Hierophant, Two of Sky, Two of Swords. Then we have Demon Cat, the Devil. We have Fire Tom, that would be a Knight of Wands. We have Five of Earths, Five of Pentacles. Fire Queen, which is a Queen of Wands. Temperance over here, and Nine of Cups over here. So I think overall, guys, this is really good. It's something that we have done already. To me, Ace of Swords is one of my karma cards. It talks about that some major decision, some major tumor or cancer that we had growing, whether it was exactly literally cancer in our body, or that something or somebody felt like that in our life, has been cut off. It's not like it's something that we really wanted to be helpful and good. For some of us, it could be about dealing with legal things. For some of us was, okay, you know, I cannot win, so I have to join this. I have to kind of like fall within these guidelines. And that's what Saturn teaches. This is like a ruler, even though we prefer Uranus, which kind of like makes us quirky and fun. And Saturn is like boring. But that boring is actually what starts pushing our life, because you imagine a balloon just keeps floating whenever the wind comes through. But the Saturn is pushing us forward. Here it is. It's really showing up over here, right? So that tower moment, for those of you who received my newsletter, where we really need to shift, it's kind of like, hey, shift. I said shift, not the other word. So poop or get off the pot is literally what has happened. Maybe we had it up to here with something, and maybe something was a bit really, really badly wanted. And we just said, okay, I just can't do it. It's kind of like understanding that we cannot really climb that mountain, and we are tired of swimming upstream. For some of us, I also feel it was engagement with a partner which kind of felt problematic. It could be the codependent relationship. It could be, you know, that we kind of like felt, oh my gosh, you know, like I simply cannot please you. I am tired of this. What about me? What about what are my needs? It's all me that I hear from you, kind of a thing, right? We are giving sign. We really want to jump this hoop and higher for somebody, but this made no sense. This was like this, look, I need to put myself first. I really feel this decision was made, and it was made recently. Like it was made with clarity completely recently with this coming over here. And it was a swift thing. It was not something that was kind of, maybe it was brewing, but in a very subconscious kind of level. This came just kind of forth, just like that. Then, you know, look at the earth that we have over here. Very strong earth. This really talks about grounding over here. I also have a little bit of a concern over here. See, the priest, the Hierophant, and Demon Cat are really talking about systems and regulations and oops, there you go. I just wanted to move a little bit, but I moved a little bit too much. He talks about the rules of the other people, which I know, oops, pardon me, we know how much we like that, right? I can't. I have OCD. I have to make it perfectly. Sorry, guys. So this kind of like is going to feel that at the time that you are viewing this, that we really need to find a kind of like a different way for some situation to revolve. Because look, this is the energy of 5, and this 14, 1 and 4, 5 is also energy of 5. And look at that, there is like this motion. Maybe we are going one step left, one step right, but each and every step left we're also going forward, and each and every step right we're moving forward. It might feel that we have conflicting rules and regulations. That's kind of like that Mars that can be confusing us. It might feel that at times we're going to burn our tails, or that we are still very careful about how we are navigating things. But ultimately, we'll be crossing and walking that line, interestingly, that I'm seeing here both, where we are going to get some alchemy. There's like something that will really happen over here. It is really this grounding nature over here. We kind of like are starting in a kind of like a big wave, but we are kind of like ending this month with recognition of something, that we need to leave something behind, because look at this was 1 and this is 2. So here it is, just 1 zoomed in, and now this is kind of like, okay, we are seeing this bigger picture. We understand maybe somebody else put the rules on us. This could be the boss, it could be a family member, it could be the priest, or your religious figure over here. It could be somebody who's ruling these big groups, right? And maybe it is like simply kind of like wondering, what do I do? There is a part of you that is heart, and there is a part of us that is head. We are air sign, and that head and heart is always conflict with us. We kind of it's very difficult for us to reach decision where we just let heart rule, unless we feel this is really comfortable, that makes sense, right? And it might be also that we are shooting ourselves in the foot. Look at this 5 of Pentacles. This kitty is watching the other cats inside, snuggling and having a warmth of the fireplace and food. And what about me? I'm out. Maybe we are going to feel like an outsider, but hello, this is kind of like normal position for us, so don't feel sorry for yourself. This is exactly about it. It's going to be some level of independence over here. I really feel that there's going to be new goals. Maybe as I said, it's going to be new business adventure. Maybe it's going to feel, oh my freaking god, will I make it? How will I meet my bills, etc., 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 right? It's going to be simply kind of like a lots of shifts that will be happening, right? Especially like when we kind of like get to this Pluto that is coming through, which is forming square to the full moon. So we will need to be and act responsible, and we will need to, take it on a chin instead of like going blaming and shifting, etc., etc., because almost like this whole world is becoming very, very childish. Did I say child shit? Okay, it's a new word, and it kind of does make sense over here, right? So we might have difficult conversations this particular month. We might need to write a letter. And if we do, I think it would be the best to really sit on it for about, a week or so. And just to make sure that we are doing that. Also, it would be really good that you have a third party, such as like a friend or coach or therapist or even a tarot reader. Hello, cattarot.ca, that kind of like bring you that clarity. Because we see what we see. We have our blinders on. We see sometimes more, but other people maybe see this bigger picture, and this is why this is talking about the strong ruler, right? It's almost like a god and devil that we kind of like see. He's representing of the god, he's representative of the devil, demon cat over here. And those two energies that we also see over here are really fighting. We are being called to do something better, kind of almost like, hey, it's amazing, right? So I really think that some of us have been suppressed for a while. And, when on October 23rd, we move into Scorpio, and this is going to go in our 10th house, and 10th house is ambition and professional goals, that we have everything lined out and set up. Because kind of like maybe even professionally, we felt kind of like stifled kind of a thing. Maybe some of us dealt with some addictions or codependency, as I told you, or maybe even kind of hedonism kind of a thing. So maybe kind of like felt being off the rails, like we want to try everything and then we're coming back and coming back, right? So it's kind of like also time to around October 23rd to settle down. This is what I want. All these amazing ideas are now kind of like working out differently. That unfortunately would mean that we need to leave certain things behind. You need to understand that we are actually not the loser over here. Maybe we are just simply envious. Maybe we want something. Maybe this is something about the real estate transaction. What I really like about here, which is most of the time kind of completely lost, are those simple jewels that exist on our side. So are we looking something that somebody else has? It's almost like keeping up with the Joneses. By the way, cats don't mind at all being in the snow. They find it really curious. But it might feel that because this is relating and this is really talking about the bigger decisions, it could be some disturbing family news, and it could be about health of a relative or somebody really close to you, or it simply could be that something that has been planned that you kind of like felt this is it, that it's kind of being canceled. This also can really tell you, hey, you know what, like, I mean, maybe, you know, all these ideas that I mentioned to you that has been going through and walking this tightrope and starting a business and trying this and this and this, and all of a sudden you're spreading yourself too thin and not getting anywhere, right? So you are going to start beginning again. And if you guys want to get pregnant this month, it kind of like, it's going to feel very tensed. And you might not be able to do that. But one thing I'll tell you for sure, that around October 27th, when we have, or on October 27th, better to say, when we have Scorpio new moon, it's going to be ideal day to kick off this new project, right? So it's going to be this time to rebuild. It's going to be kind of like watching for a curveball from home base at this kind of like new moon, because it's sitting exactly opposite of Uranus, which is basically is in Taurus, which is like seeing it here as well. Fourth house, home, family, emotions. So that somebody close to us can be kind of like turning a really calm conversation in a heated argument. We might have somebody who is an earth sign who is really pushing our buttons kind of a thing. So maybe kind of like we will find that these people who basically are our stronghold are actually now sort of chaos over here that we see. We can see this energy that we felt we dealt with kind of coming back. So on the same token, we have to make sure that we are not pushing people buttons, and this kid is really loud out there, and that we really don't deal with that. So Mercury is going retrograde October 31st. It's going in the shadow on 11th, I believe. So that's going to be the last retrograde of 2019, and that's going to go through our 10th house. So this is really important that we put things on track, because Mercury will backtrack until November 20th. So almost looks like that Halloween is going to last whole freaking 21 days. So think about it, that you need to sign the contracts before that you have to handle the affairs and deal with that. Do not buy Christmas presents in November. The month is going to kind of feel very positive. It's going to feel, hey, look at these positive dreams. Remember how I was telling you, poking the bear? Well, you know, if we are that bear, we are going to have these beautiful dreams. It almost like feels like a new chapter of our life is happening. We are feeling new enthusiasm. We are kind of like going in a new direction. We are feeling it is all freaking good over here. To me, I'll be really honest with you, it feels like that we had something going for us, which could have been even a distance away. It could have been that we had something germinating and then it stopped, or it stunned the progress. And we still feel allure, we still feel something about it, but we were not able to catch the momentum. This is changing this month. but it also tells us that we need to apply that energy of Saturn and need to kind of like ground it down. Certain things are simply needing to be looked at from a different standpoint. We need to understand that maybe we do not need to try to be in the good books of somebody, and that we can really do it on ourselves, that indecision, head or heart, it looks like we are going to really decide comfort, almost like it's going to be neither, that we really want to do it in a different way. I also feel that somebody is going to just become the person in the past, whether or not that is going to be literal ending of a relationship or even of a person, or it's going to be simply us transitioning into something else. Because I feel Aquarians are tired of suppression, Aquarians are tired of these strict rules, and now we are getting this taste of how we can move it forward, and we are really going to enjoy it. Guys, there are also new people on the horizon. It might be even more than one admirer. It could be Taurus, it could be Sagittarius, but could be very strong earth, very strong fire, or even kind of like gentle water, kind of like people that will be coming in our life. We'll be really exploring these energies, but we will not be making any kind of decisions, because that whole suppression that we kind of like felt is still kind of influencing us the whole month. This is not to say that you're not going to take these people in account and really enjoy it. So this card means kind of like wish and think positive. Maybe we need to speak to ourselves and say, well, you know, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. And I don't feel that we have been that positive and speaking to ourselves in a long time. So if you fall in a hole and you feel, oh, poor me, don't. Because this is clearly telling you, when you wake up from the dream, you realize that you can. The only person in a way is you. So don't make it. I love you, Aquarians. Make sure you check your ascendant and moon sign. And if you want a reading with me, catchtarot.ca. And you know that I love you. All the best.